This year continues to astound us with unprecedented weather phenomena. The current patterns challenging even the most seasoned meteorologists, transforming autumn 2025 into a relentless cascade of extreme events. What we witness now seems more fitting for documentaries than for reality, yet these storms are real and unfolding before our eyes across Europe and the United States. Recent weeks have brought about notable climate anomalies, from destructive hurricanes to sudden tempests, prompting urgent questions about what lies ahead in November. Let's begin with Europe. On October 20th, 2025, early in the evening, residents near Paris heard an unusual roaring sound. Initially mistaken for a distant aircraft, the noise quickly revealed itself to be something far more violent, a tornado forming a mere 20 kilometers from the French capital's center. Within minutes, this ferocious cyclone overturned vehicles, stripped roofs from buildings, and felled centuries-old trees. Tragically, three massive cranes collapsed at a construction site, causing injuries while power lines snapped, leaving roughly 1,500 homes without electricity. The tornado's path stretched several kilometers, its funnel spanning 100 meters in width. Such tornadoes are exceedingly rare in France, especially around Paris. The last comparable event occurred in 2003, although that storm was relatively weaker. The most severe tornado on French soil happened in 2008 in the town of Urigny-Saint-Pinois, reaching Category 1.4, a level of destruction rarely seen in the country. French meteorologists were stunned, confirming that the tornado originated from a supercell thunderstorm, a rotating cloud structure more typically encountered in the American Tornado Alley. On the international scale, experts estimate this event was an EF2 tornado, with wind speeds between 180 and 220 kilometers per hour. However, this violent storm served merely as a prelude to even more formidable weather upheavals. Just days later, Western Europe was hit by what meteorologists term a weather bomb. This phenomenon involves a cyclone's central pressure plummeting more than 24 hectopascals within 24 hours. A rapid intensification often compared to a storm's explosive growth. In some cases, this process unleashes hurricane-strength winds, torrential rains, and sea waves, surging several meters high. The French authorities named this storm Benjamin, which arrived silently but then struck powerfully, first hitting the Atlantic coast of France with a fury unprecedented in recent memory. These events demonstrate that what once seemed improbable, such as Europe facing tornadoes comparable to those in North America, is now becoming alarmingly commonplace. The intensity and frequency of these storms underscore the urgent need to reassess our understanding of climate stability and prepare for an increasingly unpredictable weather future. Coastal towns have transformed into disaster zones, with images from Normandy depicting scenes that resemble apocalyptic landscapes, as if a massive ice rink had swept through the cities. Moving further, the epicenter of this chaos shifted towards the English Channel, the narrow strait separating France and Britain. From there, the storm continued its relentless march northeast, impacting Spain, Belgium, and the Netherlands. Importantly, this was no ordinary storm. Meteorologists warn that such intense weather bombs are becoming increasingly frequent. Germany found itself caught in an almost inescapable trap, unprepared for such extreme conditions. The German Meteorological Service issued a rare red alert, the highest level of danger. Rarely does this happen. It signaled the formation of a powerful storm system over the country. But what was happening was far beyond typical windy weather. The situation was truly hazardous. especially along the North Sea coast and mountainous regions where gusts reached extreme levels and unpredictability was the main hazard. Winds would spike suddenly as the storm line struck, catching even calm drivers unaware. Meteorologists identified a rare phenomenon known among specialists as the sting jet, a narrow, intense airstream at the storm's rear that greatly amplifies wind speeds in confined areas. This jet manifests suddenly, delivering a piercing blast, then vanishes just as swiftly. Over mountainous areas like the Alps, hurricane-force gusts were anticipated, making the situation even more dangerous. What is most alarming is that experts say these weather bombs are no longer anomalies. They are becoming a regular occurrence. Previously, such fierce storms might have appeared a few times each season, but now they seem to dominate weather patterns with staggering frequency. During times when the skies turn gray and chilly and fatigue begins to creep in, I always seek a simple ritual that offers physical and mental warmth. I discovered my perfect comfort, sokache. This is not just a beverage with additives, it's a tea infused with pure natural juice. Throughout this autumn, these jars have become my constant companions. To produce just 2 tons of this juice, I use approximately 20 tons of fresh fruit. I peel and chop ripe pineapples, soaking them entirely in tea leaves to absorb their flavor. The same process applies to ginger. It is cleaned, sliced, and mixed in. Currently, I have a jar of ginger juice tea standing, warming me from the inside out. Honestly, during cold seasons, it feels like my body constantly says thank you. Pineapple, on the other hand, adds bursts of color to bleak autumn days, brightening the mood. I brew the tea in a teapot following the instructions, filling my home with a warm, sunny aroma. Interestingly, my personal choice of this tea aligns perfectly with experts' recommendations, highlighting its comforting and invigorating qualities. In 2023, Sokache received the prestigious award for the best beverage at the Dubai exhibition, marking a significant achievement. The following year, it earned recognition as one of the most innovative products at a major fair in Paris. Now, in 2024, it has been celebrated as the most groundbreaking new product across the Commonwealth of Independent States. If you're contemplating a thoughtful gift for loved ones, colleagues, or perhaps a treat for yourself, you might consider exploring the gift sets available on Ozona Viberis, with a link provided in the description. Individual cans of Sokache can also be found at stores like Metro, Parakrestock, Lenti, Azbuka Vikusa, and Vikusvili. Regardless, trying this drink is highly recommended, especially as colder weather approaches. Sometimes a simple cup of natural aromatic tea can completely brighten your day. For me personally, Sokache tea became this kind of discovery, something memorable that stays with you long after. Meanwhile, in Central Europe, a rare yet dangerous atmospheric phenomenon has begun to develop, called the Rex blocking pattern. Though it sounds like an animated robot, this term describes a specific high-pressure configuration. An enormous anticyclone sits directly north of a low-pressure zone, effectively halting normal air circulation. Meteorologists have observed record-breaking temperatures in some European regions, unprecedented for October. Cold temperatures not seen since the 1970s or 80s. While Europe wrestles with the Benjamin storm, a more perilous situation is unfolding across the Atlantic. In the Caribbean Sea, a tropical storm named Melissa is forming, with indications it could become one of this season's most destructive hurricanes. The storm originated about 270 kilometers southeast of Kingston, Jamaica, initially reaching wind speeds of 70 miles per hour. Though not yet classified as a hurricane, it's dangerously close to that threshold, but the concern lies primarily in its sluggish movement, just 4 to 5 kilometers per hour. When hurricanes stall or crawl, they intensify rainfall over the same area for days, causing catastrophic flooding. This was exemplified by Hurricane Harvey in 2017, which lingered over Texas and deposited more than a meter of rain in some locations, flooding entire neighborhoods. Similarly, Hurricane Dorian in 2019 remained stationary over the Bahamas, wreaking havoc. Now, Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic face this exact threat. The U.S. National Hurricane Center issued a warning that Melissa could potentially become the strongest hurricane ever to strike Jamaica, a truly serious concern for the island's nearly 3 million residents. Climate experts watching satellite images with growing alarm recognize the gravity of this developing storm. What they observed was far beyond mere terror. It fundamentally challenged all previous understanding of how swiftly hurricanes can escalate. Melissa hovered above the ocean where surface temperatures measured approximately 30 degrees Celsius. Yet the most alarming aspect was that this warmth extended deep beneath the surface. Normally, when a hurricane passes over the sea, it churns the waters, mixing warm surface layers with colder depths, causing temperatures to drop and the storm to weaken naturally. This acts as a natural brake on its intensification. However, in this case, the heat was stored in waters tens of meters below, ensuring that no matter how much the storm stirred, the warm water remained untouched, fueling its growth. In the season of 2025, 3 out of 4 Atlantic hurricanes, Erin, Gabrielle, and Humberto, experienced rapid intensification. Now, Melissa had joined this dangerous group. The forecast predicted 2 main potential paths for the storm. The first envisioned Melissa gradually moving westward toward a zone south of Jamaica, where an environment of exceptionally warm waters and stable atmospheric conditions could propel it into a Category 4 or even 5 hurricane. Subsequently, it would turn northeast, posing a significant threat to Cuba. This scenario suggested the storm would reach maximum strength and cause severe destruction, but with a lower risk of directly impacting the most densely populated regions. The second scenario was less intense but posed a greater danger to human settlements. It involved weather patterns possibly steering Melissa directly north, towards Jamaica or Haiti. While not expected to reach the same formidable strength, as in the first case, this trajectory would likely deliver a direct and destructive blow to the islands, concentrating damage where people are most vulnerable. Although the United States was considered less at risk of a direct hit, heavy surf and dangerous rip currents were forecasted along the East Coast. Florida remained on alert, as a later turn north could bring Melissa towards the peninsula, with Cuba and the Bahama Islands also potentially in its path. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration forecasted between 13 and 18 named storms for that season, with 5 to 9 escalating into hurricanes and 2 to 5 major hurricanes packing winds over 180 kilometers per hour. These predictions proved accurate, and the season turned out to be particularly intense. Yet what struck most was the deep sense of helplessness. Meteorologists could predict and warn, but they could not stop the storm. Now, Melissa's wind speed had reached 120 kilometers per hour, and her motion was almost negligible, meaning the islands could endure days, possibly up to a week, of relentless rain and wind. In Haiti, where infrastructure was already fragile due to previous earthquakes and hurricanes, the situation grew critical. Many residents lived in brittle makeshift structures on mountain slopes, and once landslides began, escape would be nearly impossible. In the Dominican Republic, over 1,000 individuals were forced to evacuate or relocate due to extreme weather. Streets transformed into rivers and schools shut down as floodwaters inundated the city. Some residents attempted to traverse the flooded areas on foot, risking being swept away by the rushing streams. Meanwhile, rescue teams worked tirelessly through the day and night, extracting people from overheated and unsafe homes. Looking ahead to November, meteorologists' predictions are sobering, even for the most optimistic. Climate models indicate that Europe will experience heightened instability during the coming weeks. A typical autumn weather pattern is expected to develop, with a vast upper-level trough in the west channeling moisture and warm air across the continent. Though this seems benign, it signals prolonged periods of rain with a significant threat of flooding. Satellite data reveals sea surface temperatures around Europe to be between 1.5 to 3 degrees Celsius higher than average, especially in the warm waters of the western central Mediterranean, an essential source of moisture for autumn storms. As warm water evaporates swiftly, the atmosphere becomes heavily saturated, primed to release torrents of rain. Forecasts also predict the formation of a strong blocking high-pressure system over the North Atlantic, which will intensify the pressure differences over Europe. This scenario is likely to trigger a sequence of deep cyclones. Picture a conveyor belt of weather fronts, sequentially sweeping across the continent from the west to the east. Regions such as Scandinavia, Denmark, the North Sea, and northern Germany will face an extended rainy season. However, rainfall is only part of the story. November is expected to bring stark temperature fluctuations. The first half of the month may see unseasonably warm conditions, with above-average temperatures across much of continental Europe. People might walk about in light jackets, surprised by the warmth. Yet, this warm spell will be temporary. Forecasters anticipate the development of a blocking high over Scandinavia or the Ural Mountains later in the month, which could usher in Arctic air masses. Cold air from the Siberian region will then sweep through Eastern and Central Europe, bringing sharp drops in temperature. Early snowfalls are possible in the lowlands of Germany, Austria, the Czech Republic, and Poland. Russia stands out in these forecasts. In the first half of November, the European parts of the country will experience a brief spell of warmth, with temperatures rising above normal akin to an early Indian summer. Nevertheless, this warming will be short-lived. A sudden cold front originating from the Arctic or Siberia is expected to intrude westward, resulting in a rapid cooling, stronger winds, and the onset of winter-like conditions across the northwest, central, and northern regions. Across the Atlantic, the United States faces its own dramatic outlook. The southern and southeastern states are predicted to encounter above-average temperatures coupled with high humidity. These conditions will likely foster severe thunderstorms and heavy rainfall, shaping a tumultuous weather pattern for the region. Coastal regions along the Atlantic continue to face the ongoing threat of late-season tropical storms. Although hurricane season officially concludes on the 30th of November, nature disregards the calendar, with storms still capable of forming in December, a pattern evidenced throughout history. Meanwhile, northern regions should brace for an early onset of winter, as models indicate possible incursions of cold air masses from western Canada. Climatologists describe these unusual events as pieces of a larger puzzle, reflecting a planet entering a new and unprecedented climate regime. The Arctic sea ice is receding at record speeds, while glaciers in Greenland are melting more rapidly than ever before. Permafrost in Siberia is thawing, releasing methane, a greenhouse gas with a warming potential 25 times greater than carbon dioxide. The oceans serve as vast heat reservoirs, buffering climate fluctuations. However, their capacity is finite. Rising water temperatures fuel storms, providing more energy for hurricanes and intensifying their destructive power. Autumn of 2025 has already demonstrated a changing climate in vivid ways. An unexpected tornado struck near Paris, and Hurricane Benjamin caused power outages for 100,000 households. Meanwhile, Hurricane Melissa threatens to become the strongest on record, and early October brought snowfalls to the Balkans. These phenomena exemplify the new climate reality we now face. Looking ahead, a busy November is on the horizon, followed by winter, which, even according to the most current models and planetary trends, promises to be equally unpredictable and dramatic as this fall. This ongoing climate shift underscores the urgent need to understand and adapt to these transformations shaping our world.